we'll give you a link. It is no coupon codes left available. We've used them all up. But if you want to support, the money will go to the players. It's split among top 4. So you're basically just supporting the players a little bit. You're basically making a donation to the top 4 players of the day. And of course, the more money we raise, the more people, well, the more the players look at this and say, "Oh, cool, that's an awesome cup. We should play in it more because there was some good money on the line, right?" So even if you can just take $5, $1, 10 cents out of your pocket, out your PayPal account to donate, do check out that Match page. It's all appreciated. As we set up here on Paladino Terminal. Not one we see often, but will be one we see today. To the top left-hand side, from Splice, our Blue Protoss player is Stats. And to the bottom right-hand side of the map, our red Zerg player, give it up for soO, who's going to open gas pool here in these early stages. Now, of course, this is kind of crazy because these are both players in the semi-finals of the GSL. And of course, they will both be going up against opponents in the next few days to determine who goes to the finals. This is actually a potential finals matchup of the GSL. As I would actually say, it's kind of hard to say. I think Stats is definitely favored over Young. But I would say soO SOS is maybe a bit closer, but soO probably still the favorite. And so, altogether, we really could be seeing a preview of this season's GSL finals right now. As we see this probe just moving around, having a little bit of a look to see what's going on and what is happening. So, again, just scouting early, trying to delay this hatchery coming down. Basically kind of forced into gas pool, I guess, early on Paladino, just because of the fact that that probe can come across so early and start body blocking that hatchery and just being, super annoying, basically, throughout the early stages. Can I announce the score between Dark versus Solar after they finish? Yeah, of course I can. As soon as I know what the score is, I can let you guys know. I'll keep you guys as updated as possible. But they're currently in game, so of course I don't really necessarily know what what's going on and what's happening right away there. As you do just see a couple of lings coming in towards the upper left-hand side of the map. So a little bit of scouting from soO in these early stages. You're going to see the Overlord moving up in towards the main base. Cybercore and a gateway. Starting to chrono burst out in Adept, actually, and a couple of these lings do make it in towards this mineral line where a few probes will be pulled off to start nibbling away at these Zerglings. So far, so good. We see a Twilight Council as the opener from Stats, and we have seen a lot of kind of builds going into Twilight once again, now that kind of this whole Stargate phase is kind of over and done with. So, going into Twilight, I mean, not over and done with, but we are seeing more Twilight builds becoming, coming around all over again, and this one without a Robo Facility does look to be a Resonating Glaives opening in the next few moments. So, in depth coming down to the low ground, we're going to be seeing a probe, probably getting set to maybe drop down a gateway or so. This probe just sat over here. More depths on the way out, of course. I mean, you do want to go up to 3 gates, generally speaking, when you're going to go for this Resonating Glaives push. As we see across the map, soO, so far, just popping down his hatchery, his third base, and just looking to see what will happen. Queen continue to inject down on the natural expansion. And, just going to be seeing an Overlord still just sat overhead. There's a couple of Adepts coming through the middle. And they, of course, will shade backwards because here they do not want to really die. They just want to apply some pressure and scout a little bit as well, see if they can pick up any information, which they can't. So they'll back away until Glaives is finished, until more Adepts are here with them. So Adepts just pulling all the way back and, yeah, just sitting towards this little bit of a wall right here. A couple of gateways are coming on down. I'm just seeing that Banner Nest coming in as well from soO. So Banner Nest dropping on down here, just over halfway done. We'll see another inject coming in from this Queen. And there really has been a little bit of a slow start, I guess, for a little while here. Nothing too crazy. And we're just going to be seeing the lings just set up to the top side, and again, waiting to see what's going to be happening next. A couple of Overlords as well to the right-hand side. A little bit out in the open. Doesn't really need 2 of these here, I don't think, as we see the Adepts starting to shade through. Lings will try and counterattack then. There is a gap, is there? Yes, there is. Lings go into the main. Mothership Core is only just now building, so Stats, he will have to warp in his Adepts defensively now, which is not so bad. I mean, what's he going to do? Warp them in and walk them across the map anyways? It's not the end of the world. Yachi over here does only get hit by 1 Baneling. soO does not have any units in position right away to deal with these Adepts, and so taking a little bit of damage. Maulings coming out. These Adepts going to shade up into the main base now. Still no real workers being killed, which is one of the more important features right now, and actually these Adepts are beginning to get caught. It's actually only probes which are still going down. 7 probes killed. Finally picks up a few of these drones. Worker counts are going to come out at 35 apiece. So altogether maybe okay-ish for our Protoss player, but there's a lot of Lings on the map now already, which he's going to have to defend against. And of course, soO can pretty much freely drone up, knowing that he already has a lot of these Zerglings, which of course will also make taking a third base very difficult. As we're going to be seeing these things just sat just up towards the top side. Adept's going to pull down in towards the center, and we're going to be seeing these few sentries from Stats as well. Just moving around in towards the main, get rid of an Overlord. And of course, the more of those you kill, the better. Now, Stats is going in towards an Immortal here, but does cancel it. For a moment or so, I was going to say, oh no, this is not good. I was going to say, maybe Stats goes in towards a situation where he builds up into like a, where he goes in towards a, sorry, I'm completely blanking. Anyways, Baneland Burst comes on through. I was going to say, maybe Stats goes for like an Immortal Sentry push, but canceling the, Immortal doesn't really suggest that at all. This pylon will go down. Probes are still running away from these Banes. Oh my god, they're just going to get away. No, they don't. Banes connect. 22 probes going down here for Stats, but he will defend as the sentries finally come in force field. I mean, it took him a little while, but he'll defend in the end, opening more sentries, extra gates on the way up. I mean, soO is building up a whole bunch of roaches now across the map. The Warp Prism is not quite doing enough damage as we see more roaches and more Lings being built at this point, and you're going to see this Prism of Stats just going to keep on moving around as well. So you're going to continue to target down that Warp Prism here. A little bit more damage being dealt as Queens do push this Warp Prism away. So Prism getting pushed away to the left-hand side now. And we've seen more Lings, Roaches, all gathering up to see what will happen next. A few more Lings still coming out, and again this Warp Prism coming back towards the center. Here we go then, a big aggressive push from Stats. Is it enough? I'm so intrigued as to why he decided to cancel the Immortal, because honestly at this point, an Immortal would work wonders just against even a few of these Roaches that are here right now. And the Stats, well, I mean, he's very out in the open. This round is going to come on in. The force fields go down, but the corrosive battles will drop, and soO picks up game number 1. In games, let's talk about our sponsor a little bit later on. I guess we can mention it quickly, guys. If you do want to check out our sponsor, who's helping to support events this month, you can check out Are You In Gaming? ! Are You In Gaming into the chat. We'll give you a link. Check out the website. It's a way where you can schedule games with your friends and when to play and so on and stuff like that. So you can spend more time playing and less time waiting. So ! Are You In Gaming, spelled Rune. It's kind of spelled Rune Gaming, but Are You In Gaming is how the brand is pronounced. So check that out in the chat. Go to the link. If you want to support our stream, then if you just sign up with the link that's given to you in the chat, you will instantly be supporting the WardiTV channel here. It takes a couple of minutes to sign up, an email address, and that's about it. So do check that out if you've got a couple of moments. Would appreciate it as we jump into this ZVP. And there you go, live on screen. soO confirms the scoreline of Solar Dog. soO takes it 2-1. Top right-hand side, our Teal Zerg player is going to be soO. And he's going to be going up against the Blue Protoss player from Splice to the top left. It is Stats. Stats soO in this best-of-3 game 2 then. Looking to see how this will go. Looking to see what's going to be happening. And let's see if Stats can tie this up and take us into a third game for the first time today. Apparently missed out on quite the ZVZ series between Dark and Solar. Probably would have been pretty fun to watch, but again, unfortunately, it's just the way things are. What we will try and do, perhaps, is maybe grab the replays off of Solar, and we can maybe cast that at the end of the day after the finals, because I do want to actually cast the round of 8, all of the round of 8. It's just we had to do some scheduling stuff here to make it work out. Of course, Dark being knocked out now for us means that it's completely fine. We don't actually have to worry about any more schedules, but of course that wasn't guaranteed to happen. So we set on up then. Let's look to see what will happen as we see the Evo chamber coming down in the top right hand side of the map, and it looks as though soO is going to be getting very aggressive here. A couple of Lings on the way up. I mean, this is a super early Evo chamber, right? This is not just to take an early upgrade. I mean, if it is, it's going to be a very weird game. As we see this, I mean, this is such a late hatch. I mean, maybe he just goes into a fast upgrade. He's only mining on 1 gas though, so it should just be for dropping Overlord, but he doesn't even have that many Zerglings to utilize right now, so I'm not really too sure about it as to what's going on right now. A few Lings do move up in towards the main base. Mothership core starts. And as that Mothership core starts on up, we'll see a few probes just pulled off the line to help block these few Zerglings away. And there we go, okay, now more Zerglings are on the way out. First adept goes in towards the main, which means more Zerglings can get through. Of course, if you can pick off a few of these Zerglings early, that will help out. You know, the less Zerglings there are, the less surrounded you will get, and the less you have to worry about in general, as we'll see this adept continue to chase these Zerglings down. No dropping Overlord yet. The rest of the Lings looking to just gather up together towards the side here. And as we're going to be seeing Mothership core moving forwards and going to be working its way through this Zergling as well. we'll want to try and, of course, maybe roll up the front a little bit. Pylon there would definitely help out. The fact he's got a mothership core already, going to be awesome for him as well. No further tech, though, so not a Stargate or anything to help out with this, as the drop-in Overlord gets ready to go in towards the main. Now, the worst thing Stats could do would be to start shading adepts across the map. And I get this horrible feeling that he's about to do this with the 3 adepts. And here we go. He starts to move over to the right-hand side of the map. Now, this isn't super aggressive out of soO. He actually started a +1 melee, and he has been making drones as well, rather than continuing to make more, rather than continue to make more Zerglings here. Stats pulling his probes just to fight this. He's going to lose a few workers. He can afford to lose a few, because this is a commitment from soO. He loses about 5, loses 6 here now. As long as he defends at this point, I think he's okay. 2 more Zerglings left. And he does have adepts across the map as well, so he can actually get in here and probably pick off a couple drones as well to keep himself in an okay sort of position. He sees the Evo Chamber of Graydon, so that'll be good information for him, as he actually just sticks around in this location, keeps on fighting these drones, picks off a couple more here towards the end, and that will be about it. 7 workers killed then, and actually just undoes the damage that soO has just dealt. And as you still do see a couple of Zerglings moving around. And you see soO just looking to see what's going on right now with these lings. So more lings coming over to the far left, and again, ready to maybe just drop once again. Stalkers come into position and we'll start to push this Overlord away. It's not going to allow this Overlord to get too much more done right now. That Overlord will drop, and that will be about it. So, aggression over. I mean, soO will have to just focus on droning at this point to see glaives on the way. Melee upgrades will help to shred these adepts very quickly. Let's see if it's going to be enough. Thank you very much, FaveSC in the chat for the 7-month resub. Give me some more love in the chat, please, for these resubs. That's a 987 resub streak right now. Have we got a 6-month resub in here? Have we got the 6th month to make it more of a streak? Crazy. Anyways, we're going to be seeing this game continuing. And just to answer a question in the chat quickly, yes, there are going to be semi-finals and finals played today as well. As you just see these lings, having a little bit of a look to see what's up and what's going on, looking to see what's happening. As you see a Forge on the way down as well from Stats. Robo Facility coming down as well. I mean, just setting up into a very standard way to open, basically. Resonating Glaives will finish, and again, this is nothing too crazy out of Stats. Just the Twilight Cancel for the 2nd game in a row. Obviously liking the Adept and the Glaive-based openers as of late, so set up into this and looking to see how this is going to go. As soO still moving around with these Zerglings, again with +1 melee on them, they are a little bit scary. Let's see what he can do as we have a couple of Adepts and Stalkers pushing out as well. More Adepts joining up, and Stats will start to shade a few of these Adepts forwards to start chasing down these Zerglings. I mean, 40 more Lings on the way up, as overall the game is definitely stabilized. I mean, soO retaking that worker lead. Obviously throughout the game there was points where he was quite far behind on economy, but now he will start to take that back. Of course, that's where Stats Warp Prism comes in to play, and his Adept Harassment. He'll be moving around to try and get as much done as possible. 2 extra gates coming down from Stats as he goes up to the 3rd base. Mothership Core here to protect this pylon to the left-hand side, and should just overcharge almost instantly. It should be enough against these Lings. They're not surrounding the pylon fully. He lets it take some damage before he pops the overcharge, though, which will definitely allow soO to come in. And it might just make a little bit of a difference there towards the very end. As at the same time, though, Adepts in the main base, 8 workers killed off. Stats is so good with this Warp Prism, always doing damage. We'll have to cancel the 3rd Nexus, though, as we'll see. Well, Sentries, the Stalker too, coming out. I'm surprised the Lings don't try and force a couple of Force Fields out at this point. You know, go try and surround these units, and that could very quickly pick up a little bit of damage. So that's something I'm surprised that doesn't happen here. And there's going to be seeing a few extra gates just again on the way down. Another Immortal on the way out from Stats as well. That +1 upgrade not far away from finishing, as we'll just be seeing. Well, Zerglings running forwards once again. Probe gets taken down by those Lings pretty swiftly. And still just sat over to the top side. So, Ling still just sat over to the top side. Roach speed on the way up now from soO as well. So he starts up the roach speed. A drone will come down and pop down an extractor. And still a lot of these Zerglings from soO. Moving around, looking to see where he can get to, looking to see what's up and what is going on. Temple Archives comes on in then, so I mean, we look at soO's composition. What's he actually going for? We've not been very analytical this game, have we? Not at all. He is missing a Bane Nest, so he's looking to just go into kind of Ling Roach at the moment, / Ling Ravager. Maybe we see a Bane Nest come down, but obviously the sooner the better, because the sooner he gets a Bane Nest, the sooner he starts Baneling speed, and that's obviously a big advantage for him if he's going to play out a Baneling-based composition. Now you see the Temple Archives from stats. Something which we've seen a lot of as of late is going to be the Psionic Storm as a way to deal with a lot of actual Lingbane Hydra compositions have been popular. And we're going to see the Storm right now as well. So we'll see if that's going to be enough, as we do see there's the Bane Nest going on down. So soO is going to play what we would see or expect to be kind of a bit more of a standard setup. And stats does deny a drone built in the 4th hatchery. 4th base can be a bit harder to take on Cactus Valley. It's mainly the 5th base that's more difficult. Obviously popping the 4th base down right here is okay. You know, popping the 4th base down here is okay, but it's still easy for stats to push into, which is why soO would prefer to take it down to the south. But that position is very far away from the rest of the bases, which means that Warp Prism plays, etc. can be very frustrating to deal with in that location. So, getting past the 4 bases can be very difficult here on Cactus Valley. More so for the Protoss player, I would say, though, than the Zerg. Of course, the Zerg a bit of a faster moving army, whereas the Protoss has to be very careful with how he splits up, and so on and so on. Still some Zerglings just gathering up together to the left-hand side. You're going to be seeing this Observer moving through as well. I'm just going to be seeing soO with this hatchery continuing to come on up as well, so let's again set up in towards his 4 bases here. I still feel soO's been playing from a little bit behind in this game, just from early. You know, he definitely didn't take much of an advantage. He didn't get much out of his +1 melee super early in the game either, which is fine because it, you know, lets him go into +2. But it was still a fairly early commitment how early he built it. You know, it's finished way before the levers finished to stop +2 melee. So again, soO maybe just playing from a bit behind earlier on. I mean, the game still looks sort of okay right now. The 66 workers apiece is not necessarily brilliant here, you know, it's not great for soO. He's definitely looking to just sort of attack and probably try and just win a game with one big attack here. See, a drop-in Overlord has just finished morphing, and we see 4 Banelings ready to hop on into it to do a little bit more damage and to get in towards that mineral line. So, soO's setting up with this. You see a couple of changes coming across the map. Also setting up a Bane drop to the left-hand side as well. We do have Pneumatized Carapace, right? We do indeed. So Overlord speed in the game. These Bane drops should be fairly effective. Let's see what stats reaction is going to be like. I imagine that it's going to be one of those situations where soO is going to try and drop at both locations at the same time. Might even pressure with the main army, if not with the idea to commit, but more so just to distract stats from the fact that there's going to be Banelings dropping into his mineral lines. Here we go. There's a cannon set up, but that's not really going to help against these Banelings or this Overlord. I mean, might kill the Overlord in the end. And the stats, you're going to realize this immediately. I love this from soO, though. Just pulls away with the Overlord as well. And that's awesome, because you know what? Now he still has these Banelings to use at a different point in time, such as right now. That means that Stats has to keep looking for those Baneling drops at all points. A couple of Stalkers warp in. Stats is not going to respond. He doesn't have that many probes in the main. Still loses 10 or so, though, to that Baneling drop, as we see the army of soO actually runs all the way back over to the right-hand side to pick off these Zealots that are trying to come around and harass. Overlord drop in the natural expansion once again is unsuccessful here, as we might just see a couple of Stalkers will be positioned here to keep that away for now. And there's 18 probes going down, though. Actually, that's pretty insane. I guess they were mostly in the main, right? Because he didn't drop any out over here. There's more probes than I expected to go down. So do you see those Stalkers coming in, and there will be the dead Overlord. Not a single Bane drops down at the same time, though. A big push forwards from soO. Stats has to cancel the 4th base. He has more Storms to utilize, and he is starting to get big Storms onto these Banes. Force fields as well to keep some of the Banes away. Looks scary there for Stats, but he has so many Archons and Immortals left over. Actually, a warping of Zealots would be super awesome, just so he has a little bit of something to tank once some more of these Banes go down. Of course, he is missing out on... he is missing out on... sentries right now. That Observer Stats is having a great time, taunting soO a little bit as that Observer gets away from so many corrosive files. It's almost insane. Zealots join up to the bottom side. They're going to look to hit a 5th base here as it comes on up. And I mean, overall, Stats is recovering. He's rebuilding a few workers, 50 now to the 76. His army supply is still very good, and I love the fact he's built into the +1 shield upgrade. That's going to help a lot with these shield-heavy units, such as Immortals and Archons, against the Banelings and whatever else they're looking to soak here. Going to be seeing these Zerglings going to be coming all the way down to the far south side. Going to be seeing a few to the far left. We'll cancel the 4th base again. Stats unable to expand towards the 4th, and I mean, if he can't take this one, it is difficult for him to get a 4th base to the left-hand side. Big warp in the main base, though. Archons to back this up as well to make the Zergling-based defense a little bit less effective. Well, look at that pickup from the Stats as well, saving some of these lower health Zealots to pull back towards the Archons. Obviously, does not want to save the Zealots, he wants to save the Archons overall. The good damage being done, and finally Stats seems to get some momentum going his own way. Finally forcing soO to kind of really do something, and look at this, pushing forwards at the same time. Goodbye, 4th base. Suddenly Stats has made a couple of great moves to really push himself into a better position here. Some Storms will come down, still lacking force fields and sentries in general to kind of help against Banelings, etc. But he's got so many more storms. He's shredding apart this army, although he is quite, losing quite a bit himself. The Roach Ravager that's left over will push on forwards, and it's probably going to be a dead 4th again. In fact, Stats has lost pretty much everything. He's back in the main base, though. Lair going down. He's got a lot of Zealots and Adepts to the south side, and that'll be what keeps Stats alive on the 3 bases for now, at least. Because these Archons will just lift up and drop behind the mineral line, I guess, instead. And will he get the spawning pool? I don't know if the spawning pool is really that important right now. Stats loses one of the Archons, unfortunately. South side base will go down as well. Suddenly, both players are only on 3 bases, and they are beginning to mine out. Very few mineral patches left on either side. Stats does have some health here. Just have a bit of a healthier 3rd base. He's been trading a little bit better, which means he can survive on 3 bases for longer here. Of course, there was a little while where soO was mining on 4 bases as well. As we're going to be seeing these Zerglings picking off the Zealots to the south side finally. 74 to 43 army supply. soO pushing through the middle of the map. We'll find a single Zealot on the watchtower. And I'm going to be seeing coming over to the far left. Zerglings will run on in to take down this pylon and this Nexus. So they're both going to get cancelled once again. Stats still unable to take a 4th base here. Unfortunately, he just cannot stabilize. But he will try to topside, and maybe now... Oh, he doesn't have anything. Why is Stats army? There we go, a few more units going forwards. I mean, no Banelings in this. It's only really Roach Ravager, and the Roaches don't have missile upgrades. Kills the Nexus, though. Stats rebuilds it for what, like the 5th time, 6th time, 7th time in this game? As you see, again, Archons, Zealots, High Templar all gathering together. Warp doesn't continue to warp in over here. A few more Ravagers to the top side, setting up and getting ready to go. Zealots begin to charge forwards, but do not get too much of an opportunity to kind of continue there. As we're going to see more Lings towards the center. Banelings will start to morph in as well. And still, I mean, I think now Stats' army is actually just a little bit too good for soO. Lacking a few Banelings here. Well, let's see as we see moving forwards. A couple of Banelings do start to come on in. A couple of Storms towards the back to start us off as well. What does soO need to do to fight against this? I mean, he just needs to try and hope these Banelings hit nicely. The scary thing for Stats is if those Banelings do find a way to sort of flank in from an angle, and if they hit the High Templar, that would be disastrous. He actually morphs in one more Archon, with some Templar which actually have energy on them, which is an interesting choice. Obviously is, I mean, maybe he wanted to morph in these High Templar into an Archon. That would have made a bit more sense. Still just on these sort of mid-game compositions, because it's been such a hectic game trading out throughout. Now, soO does have his own 4th base back up and running, but finally... I can't believe I'm saying this, but Stats is also going to have a 4th base finished. So Stats has a 4th base here ready to go, and we'll see a couple of assimilators coming down now on this top side. So a couple of assimilators coming on into play. And I still see a lot of Archons, Zealots, Stalkers, and these High Templar too, looking around to see what is going on. Ravagers, Roaches, and Banes going to move forwards as well. So the Banes are very scary, but of course if the Archons can just do a little bit of tanking, that'd be great. But that's of course why soO is now bringing his Ravagers forwards to try and fight those Archons, because he doesn't want to waste his Banelings on them, and if a few are just left out ahead to soak Banes, well, they're easy pickings for a Roach-based composition. I mean, Bane count is getting very low once again. More Ravagers coming into play. Storms are starting to run out. I mean, there's only a couple left over, but they're doing such a good job of softening up so many of these Roaches. You see, once again, Stats pulling back here. Mineral Line will be hit by a few Banes. High Templar staying alive, though, and that is, again, important if he wants to continue using Storms. One more coming down. I mean, Ravagers are very squishy, and there is a lot of Ravagers in this army, which means that the Storms will pick their way through Ravagers pretty quickly. There's Immortals to chew their way through Roaches. Another nice Storm here, and Archon goes down to the top side. Corrosive Battle very nearly hitting. Well, it does actually hit a couple of the High Templar towards the top, but it's not enough to kill them off, and it does just put Stats into a bit more of a precarious position. Down 40 army supply, still trying to take the fights here. Storm's coming down, now he morphs in the Archons. An overcharge available, Corrosive Battle's coming down, another Archon morphing in at the front does fall. Probes continue to drop as well as this 4th base is once again under heavy fire. Stats with Zealots trying to charge forwards at the moment. There we go. Finally, the Zealots start to make their way through this here, and as these Ravagers continue to work their way through this army. And it looks as though soO, in the very end of all of this, is just about going to have too much. A couple of mores left over. I mean, still Warpins coming in from Stats, but he's just absolutely broke. He's just not got any money left over. Some Zealots across the map are doing damage. They're picking off Roaches and trying to harass the 4th base walls once again. Unfortunately, Stats has to type out GG. And so